Recording in progress.
So we're going to get started because we have a lot to cover today. And I'm going to say good morning, everybody. I know we're going to have lots of people joining as we go, but we're going to keep an eye on that waiting room. And so much to cover today, so many great things. We have a wonderful guest with us, Cindy Coffman. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
She is here with us to share some wonderful, exciting information about her community here in Laureate Park. So we're going to do that. And Phil Logus is supposed to be here with us, going over the contract changes. And he got stuck in Chicago. He was in Chicago also. His flight was canceled. Spirit, don't take it. But
Ever, anywhere.
I was on United and I came back. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I have all the slides from the Florida Realtors presentation. So I will be going through it with you. The reason I did not want to go through it with you is because I'm your broker. And you're going to say, well, my broker went over it. Doesn't that mean I should talk about it? No, I'm going to go over it with you because you need to know it, but I don't want you to talk about it. So pretend that I'm Phil. Okay. But I'm not Phil because I'm not an attorney. But you need to know this information, guys, because you will be secret shopped. Joanna Watkins was very clear. Fair Housing will be calling. Okay. She's calling them testers. I'm calling it what it is, secret shoppers. I want you to understand the information, but I don't ever want you to talk about it. Okay. So let's be clear on that. But before, let's just get started. Let's jump on in. And we're going to do a little screen share right here. Let's hope for the best, right? Because God only knows. We know what happens. I have great news, though. I'm getting a new laptop. And so I'm hopeful that that's going to help with my problems. Could it? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Apparently, my laptop is too old. What does that mean?
They make them phase out.
So
Yeah.
apparently it needed to be phased out. But anyway, a culture is defined by its people. And guys, our people are premier. So I'm so proud to be here with you today. And let's get started with a little video. Maybe.
You're invited to imagine what's next. What the next view you wake up to will be, where your next adventures will start from, your perfect space to entertain, and your sanctuary to unwind in. As you begin to imagine your new place, we'll be here to help you find it, because nothing compares to what's next. Sotheby'sRealty.com.
Nothing compares to what's next, because we elevate all of us who are all around us. That's what we do. We are artfully uniting extraordinary people with extraordinary homes. We have wonderful people with us here today. Maria Smith, who's hiding, and Miss Cindy Coffman here, who is with David Weekly here in Laureate Park. And what I'm going to do is end my slideshow, and I'm going to bring up Miss Cindy Coffman, maybe. So end share. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to admit everybody who's waiting because I didn't do that before. And I'm going to put it on gallery view, not gallery view, speaker view. And I'm going to put it on you.
Oh, perfect. Can y'all see me?
Not really. I don't know why. Should be on speaker view. And why is it not showing you as speaker? Okay, we're going to keep it on gallery view. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hey, everyone.
Okay, everybody's here? Everybody here? Okay.
All right. So I like to bring gifts, and I know that a lot of you are online. So I actually have a gift for onliners as well as a gift for people in the room.
Oh, wow.
So I'll let you figure out. We'll have to figure out how can you do like a raising of a hand? How does
Yeah.
that work?
Yeah, you guys can raise your hand.
Okay.
I'll
So
monitor.
Miss Carrie, you'll have to figure it out. But has anybody worked with David Weekly before? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully all positive experiences, but I'm going to tell you just a little bit of what makes us different from other builders, tell you a little bit about Laureate Park and their update. But I want to give you guys some trivia, and it's the folks who answer the tree that's going to get a couple of these gifts about David Weekly. So
I can't answer them.
you can't answer? Do you
Well,
know it, or you just know too much?
I don't know. Well, maybe I will answer because I
Okay.
want the gifts.
All right. So this one's actually for
Ooh, Premier
Premier
Sotheby's.
Sotheby's. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to answer. Forget it, guys. You're out of luck.
So anybody know when David Weekly was started?
Oh, I don't even know that.
What year it was started? Anybody online? Anybody know?
Anybody?
Yeah. So we started in 1976. We're actually the
Oh.
largest private home builder in the United States. We're in, oh, here's a question. How many states are we in? Anybody know that? And for that, I'm going to give this, says Yoda
Ew.
Best Realtor. It's got Yoda on it.
Oh, are you in 3
It's a cutting
states?
board.
13.
13 states.
Really?
Yeah.
Who looked it up? Who looked it up? Kate, did you look that up? Oh.
It's all right.
Kate looked it up.
Anybody know where we got our start? That is for this cutting board, and it says realtors need closure.
I'm gonna say Texas just because I'm lying.
From a guy named David.
Yes. So I'm gonna have to split that. Like,
Well, we'll share it.
maybe we should come over for some charcuterie, right?
We'll keep it in the office.
Bring the cheese and the rest of
That's cute.
And again, another cup here. This is a David Weekley cup. How many times have we been featured in Fortune 500 magazine?
We're all like,
Just take a guess. Very close. I'm gonna give this to you anyway. 15.
15.
And last year, we were actually in the top 10 last year. And the reason why all
Wow.
this is important is to tell you how we're different. Is David Weekley treats their customers like they treat their employees, which is with care. And I'm really grateful for that. So when your customers are walking in the door, our first thing to do is to focus in on them, to find out what their needs and desires are, and then how we can kind of take that to the next level. So for us, once we've got them under contract, we want you to know we're your partner. Your job is done, and our job is to take care of them. So they actually have their own private web portal. They get what's called a homeowner portfolio, which walks them through the process. But we also call them on a weekly basis with the builder who's building their home.
Really?
So for us, it's super important that we're over communicative so that they understand that from the beginning, they're going to trust us, whether it's good news, bad news, or just, hey, nothing's going on in your home.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you call them with the builder and the agent included?
The agent typically is not on the phone. It's just a lot to have an agent, us call them to. Now, any correspondences that they want us to include the agent on, all of our emails, we typically do. Most of the times their relationships are good. Every once in a while we'll have an agent fall out, and even though they still get paid, they might not be invited to any of the meetings. But we certainly want you guys there, but the weekly calls are something we don't include the agents on. Yeah, and the weekly call could be, hey, we've poured your footers today. This is what we're expecting next week. This inspection, us to come in and do the underground plumbing, that sort of thing. The other thing that's super important with us is we want folks to know how their home is built. So we will invite them in during the time that we're building the home. We want them to see what's behind their walls, what materials that we're using. We want them to take pictures. What they don't know is we hire a third-party inspector on top of all this, because we want to make sure that the things we say we're doing, that we're doing properly. We also encourage you guys, if you have an inspector, go ahead and allow them to do that as well. They just have to be licensed and certified. But again, we want to make sure they understand we're not hiding anything. We're doing everything. We call it the David Weekley way. So it's actually a really cool. I have been a customer of ours twice, and I still got the weekly calls. So literally the builder would be in the office next door and go, Ms. Coffman, we're calling you about what's going on in your home this week. So it was really kind of cool to see it from both sides.
Nice.
The other thing that makes us different is some of the materials that we use in our warranty program. A warranty program is probably the most important for people. We have a 1, 2, and 10-year warranty. So the 1-year warranty is like every builder, things that are manufactured incorrectly, defects, your typical bumper to bumper kind of warranty. But our 2 years, everything behind the walls, this can be super important for our buyers. That would be your electrical, your plumbing, your any of your AC lines, that sort of thing. And then 10 years structural. So we're going to actually allow that one to be transferable to a new buyer. What we also love about the company is how much they care about the employees in the community. So employees, we are owners in the company after 2 years. So we get shares of the company. And we have a 401k match that is absolutely unbelievable. In my 5.5 years there, I made 4 times the amount in my 401k than my husband did at SeaWorld for 32.
Oh, wow.
So if that tells you anything, it's pretty incredible. That on top of, they know if they're going to treat us well, that we're going to turn around and treat our clients well. And so we have a CARES program where we go out into our communities 4 to 6 times a year to just take care of people. So recently we built beds for children who were in need, and we bought all the bedding and stuff for them and delivered them. We built wheelchair ramps for senior citizens who weren't able to get into their homes anymore.
Wow.
But then we also partner with places like Second Harvest Food Bank and, a gift for teaching. So for us, we need to enhance the communities we live in, not just be here to make a lot of money. So those were all important things to me when I came to work for David Weekley, and something that they're very stringent about. When you said testers, we have secret shoppers all the time. And that whole point that it can take us 2 to 3 hours to be shopped. And then you will sit down and watch the entire video of yourself, what you could have done better, how you could have met a need, that sort of thing. And so I just think that's great that you have a company like you do and this amazing leader that talks all the time about how you're able to enhance people's lives as well. Yeah. Now about Laureate Park, have you guys sold in there?
Oh, yeah.
Before? Yeah. So we're pretty stoked about it. Basically what happened is you guys were familiar with Tavistock used to own Kraft. So Kraft and Dreamfinders had the entire N3 neighborhood. Unfortunately, recently they fell out of contract, and so we were able to go in earlier and pick up 35 of those lots.
Nice.
So in N3, we have some dirt lots as well as some quick move-in homes. And then we're preparing for N2 right now, which is the section right next door underneath where the school site is. So it looks like we'll be selling the 30-foot product, which is really like our bungalow homes, and then the 50-foot product, which everybody wants, having the apartments right on top of the garages. And then it looks like we'll probably go into the 55-foot product again, which would be conservation homes where the garage is on the front of the home. What we're finding is there's not a lot of inventory.
Yeah.
Buyers are still very excited to be in Laureate Park, specifically because the school district is quite wonderful. I will tell you, we don't even have an incentive right now because our sales have been great, and it is one of the jewels of the city. And
wonderful, just what we want to hear.
I know, right? Now, the good news is you guys will still get 3%, even during our best time of selling when everybody else reduced it. We know that you are really our liaisons and important to us. Actually, realtors are 60% of our business. And so we've always kept it at 3%. We want you to know that's super important to us. So we still do have the 3%, but I'll tell you, by not having an incentive hasn't slowed anybody down a bit. They recognize the product. Our time frames right now, we're about 8 to 10 months in a new build, and our competitors are quoting up to 2 years.
What about do you have a lender that you work with? You have preferred lenders and that type of thing?
Yeah, our preferred lender is FBC Mortgage. We'll always give $5,000 in closing cost for that. But in other neighborhoods that we sell in, if they're not as popular as Laureate Park, say Westland Park down the road, we may have more of a flex cash incentive for using them. We always try to get our buyers qualified with FBC because we have a 100% close on time rate with them for 12 years. So we know that if they qualify them, those are buyers that will be able to close for sure.
So if they qualify, but they have a different program that they can go with another lender, will they still get the 5,000 incentive?
No, they have to use our lender for that incentive.
Okay.
Yeah. And again,
Even if it's a killer program at 100%.
so
Good, Maria.
we have one exception, and that's Truist. And Truist, we have a particular person who we use there because they can offer a doctor program that FBC cannot.
I have that.
Yeah. And so by using, and it's because they made a deal with David Weekley. But those are the only two. Now, I will always tell our buyers, shop the rates, bring them back to FBC, see if they can match them so that you can get it. Typically, and again, we adore FBC, but typically only having that 5,000 doesn't sway somebody that they might be able to get that type of incentive from their own.
$5 grand is not. I mean, but
Agreed.
yeah,
Absolutely.
But all
agree.
things being equal, like $5 grand you wouldn't have.
Absolutely. And the thing I tell them is, again, it's just peace of mind. Knowing that you're going to close and get your keys the same day is a really nice thing. Because we've had some outside lenders who've not been able to deliver for our buyers. And they can spend 3, 4, 5 days, even weeks, where they're renting in hotels because they don't have their stuff together. So we want the best for them. We're going to get our money either way. We want the experience to be an incredible one for them. Yeah. So in Laureate Park South, we currently have some quick moving homes that you guys can sell and make money in the next month to 2 months because they are completed or about to be completed. But we also figure that a lot of people will see and want to buy dirt. So we're also doing 30s and 50s in dirt sales right now. And they're kind of going gangbusters. So it's been a really neat experience to come back. What everybody is talking about now or is afraid about is that Osceola Parkway extension. Have you guys heard about it at all? Okay, so in Laureate Park South, there's an actual toll road that will be going through the neighborhood. So if you're familiar with Summerdale and Laureate Park South, there's a piece of water in between the two. It's actually supposed to go over the water. So the people who purchase these amazing conservation homes are now going to be looking at a toll road. So that can be a little bit unnerving for folks, especially because we don't know what that looks like, exactly when it's going to start, what type of noise there's going to be. So what we're, again, sharing with them is what we understood from the CFX Expressway. We want them to do their own research, let them make their own decisions on that. But we do disclose that because no matter what, there's going to be some sort of road near where you're living. It hasn't really stopped the sales, but there's definitely some people who would rather not be in that section per se. But I have a lot of people from New Jersey, New York, who live right off of the interstate, and that means nothing to them. Yeah. I've learned very quickly that what my desires are not what our buyers' desires are. So as soon as we listen to them and decide what's important to them, then we can sell anything, right? What is also important is there's a lot of things coming up in that area. Have you heard of the vertiport that is coming here to Lake Nona? So Jetsons, we're all looking in the Jetsons age, right? This is going to be almost a drone-like type of vehicle. So it takes off vertically and lands vertically, and you'll actually be able to fly from here to Miami in an hour. Wow. Here to Tampa in 30 minutes and to Daytona Beach in 15. Wow. So there are vertiport stations and hubs that are going to be all over the state of Florida, and Lake Nona will be one of them. So that's supposed to open up in the 25-26 time frame for us, right down there. And that's so cool. South. We also have George Jetson. Exactly.
There's no pilot, right?
There is a pilot actually, and it is an electric vehicle, correct? Yeah. So they're still working out all the details. No, not like the beep, right?
Not like the car game.
But they're really testing it as a lifestyle, the convenience that you have. So you will park your vehicle there, hop on that, we'll call it a plane, and then get to your destination and then come back. And so it's supposed to be kind of like a day trip sort of thing. Wow. So more information to come on that as we get it. Also, we are in the city of Orlando. People do not know that. Lake Nona is 17 square miles. Laureate Park is the city of Orlando. All of our streets are city streets. All of our parks are city parks. So they just revealed the newest park that's coming to there. It's called Poitras Park. And they really focused on every demographic there. So we're going to have young, old, we have splash pads, pickleball courts, basketball courts coming, a teen center hangout. So they're really trying to figure out how do we bring the community together as a whole. So we'll see that happening in the next year and a half. And then the final piece that's coming there will be a K-8 school. Wow. Yeah. So the school is going to open the 6th, 7th, and 8th for years 24 and 25. And then the K-5 will open that following year. And so folks are really excited because all these homes are literally being built right next to the school. Wow. Yeah, so get some great opportunity there. Our taxes are still kind of high in comparison, right, with everybody else. So those are things we like to prepare our buyers for, making sure they have the tax rate, HOA, and CDD. We also have the CDD still. So for those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's just that the developer takes out a bond on the land. We as homeowners pay that back, and it's paid in our taxes. So you're going to be anywhere from $800 to about $1,300 a year on top of your taxes. It's actually included, but you're going to see it separated out. It's the only part of our taxes we can't write off. Our HOA, $157 a month.
We can't write that off.
You cannot. Yeah.
I bet people just lump it in and know.
Probably.
Yeah.
They don't get your tax bill.
Yeah.
That's listed.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about that.
I didn't know you could do
Yeah.
that.
And then your HOA over there, 157 a month, and we include your internet as well as all of your amenities. And so for us, it's 1G, so very fast
Mhm.
streaming. And then we have 3 swimming pools. We have pickleball, tennis courts, basketball courts, and several of the city parks out there.
Mm.
So it's become an extremely exciting area. We've got 1,000 homes that we'll be building over the next 4 years.
Wow.
For buyers, yeah, to have.
Huge.
And so we're looking at a total of about 4,100 homes total in the Laureate Park.
Wow.
David Weekly have 1,000 or you mean everyone?
No,
has 1,000?
everyone.
Everyone, yeah. David Weekly right now, we'll probably get about 125 to 150 home sites in the next phase. Yeah, currently we're the only builder that's been verified for that next phase. I've heard a rumor that Dreamfinders and Craft may also come over there, but
Mhm.
nobody's confirmed that at this point. Yeah.
And you're actually over there already, so.
I am, yeah. So I'm over there full time. Christy and I were cross-selling both Westland Park and Laureate, but I am I live in the community. I've been there for 7 years, on my 3rd home there. So I'm now selling Laureate Park exclusively and would absolutely love just to help you and your clients. The whole thought process for me is getting to know you and them and how I can best serve you. They may not be buying today, but they're going to talk to other people, or they could be future buyers. A lot of my buyers who come today were people who just walked in and ended up talking around people in the community. What we like about the community, they go over to Canvas, and once you have that reputation of taking care of people, it just kind of takes care of itself.
I think more importantly, what's really weird and unique and interesting about Laureate Park is people who buy in Laureate Park stay in Laureate Park. It's bizarre. So they'll buy one and they know that they want to have that next one, and they'll just
So
hop
true.
around to all these. They know the floor plan they want. It's bizarre.
It is totally bizarre.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where I'd say over 1/3 of our buyers
stay in the
are
community.
folks who just keep moving up.
You don't see that in many communities.
It's true.
Mhm.
And everybody has a couple of cuckoo birds in their community, right?
Yeah.
And we do, we have a few. But for the most part, your neighbors want to be your neighbors.
Yeah.
They really want that hometown feel. There's a lot of green spaces that people gather at, bunko groups and cycling groups. It's just a really lovely place to live. I actually came there for investment. I stayed because I fell in love. Yeah.
It's so weird. People might stay in Windermere, but not in the same community.
Right.
Celebration, maybe
Mhm.
more so you'll see some of that. But other than that, I've never seen a community quite like that. It's
Agreed.
really weird
Yeah.
and
then-
unique and special.
Totally. And then our downtown area, still in the process of kind of working that out. We're getting a lot of different thought processes from Tavistock.
Mhm.
And a lot of that is because people's habits changed since we had the pandemic.
Yep.
So originally we talked about having a movie theater, a comedy club, the bowling alley, that sort of thing. After the pandemic, nobody was going to see movies anymore.
Mm.
And so they've really kind of talked about retooling that area, still adding a lot more retail and restaurant space, but really trying to figure out what to put there. And so if you've been to the town center, right now in the corner, right beside the pizza company, there's a place that sells different things every few months. So at one point it was called Chalks.
Mhm.
It sold chocolate and socks, right?
It's so random.
Completely random, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to see different concepts in there, and that is how they're doing their research to find out what really intrigues people who are coming to the Laureate Park area.
I'd be interested to know what they found. But yeah, that's really strange.
Yeah, and the chocolate was like $12 a piece anyway,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I wasn't sure either, but I will tell you that it's easy to sell a neighborhood you love,
Mhm.
and that's kind of where I am. And so I want you to use me as a resource all the time. If you need anything, even if it's comp information or just about the community as a whole, that's really what we're there for. We want to educate the folks who are walking into the office. So as Tom Carey, we have a lot of realtors here that come in that know
Nothing.
absolutely nothing. They're doing a huge disservice to their buyers. And so we try our best to make their realtors look good, but sometimes there's no help that. But
So
I'm really
true.
grateful for your team and the professionalism that comes out of this office. I know if somebody from here comes in, I don't have to worry about covering their butts. Because that happens a lot.
They are trained.
Exactly.
What price would you start?
Yeah, so this will be the base price of the smallest home. So we're gonna start in the high fours. So once you put your lot price and your upgrades on top of that, you're probably in the high fives. That's for a 1,400 square foot 2-2 home.
Mhm.
And then that's in our garden series. In our village series, which is where people can start to put the apartments over the garages, you're gonna start in the low sixes, and that's for a 3-2.
Mhm.
And if you're going to do an apartment on anything that has a 3-car garage, they're 130,000. So right now, our homes, our typical buyer is somewhere between like a 750 and $1 million is what we're selling.
Question, with the HOA, what are the rules about renting out the garage apartment?
Yeah, super great question. From day one, as soon as you close on the home, the apartment can be rented out.
And does it have to be a year? Is that what the?
It
Mhm.
is, yeah,
Okay.
it's a 1-year lease.
I mean, that's
and-
what you want anyway. You're living there.
Exactly. And they'll want, the HOA wants a copy of that so that
Mhm.
they have record and they will have access to the amenities.
Okay, great.
Yes, if they don't have that, people trying to get into the pool and the work, you're gonna hear it. And then
Yeah.
you're gonna go, oh, okay, well, did you register them with?
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
The apartments, yeah, between 1,700 and 2,000 a month. It's
But that's
pretty incredible.
great though,
What
you
size
know?
did you say?
That's
Just a 1 bedroom,
huge.
1 bath?
It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. For us, it's about 700 square feet. For other builders, it can be between 750 and 900. They all rent out for the same. But what people are excited about is they have their own space. They're not
Mhm.
sharing parking lots or anything with
Right.
anybody. And included in those apartments, you know, the people,
Amenities.
they're sharing internet that they don't have to pay for. Their electric's typically included in that. So it's a really great investment for a buyer to do that on top of their garage.
Mhm.
And then when we build them, we always encourage them to turn the garage around so that the door faces the alley. Even
Mhm.
if they're not going to use it at first for rental, we always want to make sure that the renters aren't coming up into your property.
Yeah.
And so those are the types of things we like to suggest for them, but definitely a great investment.
There's no rules against that? Or there's no rules against that?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
They
No.
encourage it.
Now,
Cool.
rental of the main property, every builder has it in their contract for you to list the home as a primary or secondary and have it for a year
Yeah.
before you rent it out. Those rules aren't always followed, but that is something that they do have to sign in the contract. And so if you hear, you know, but I see people renting it all the time, that becomes an HOA issue. And so that's what the buyer will deal with, but it is in all of our
And
contracts.
just FYI, it's not one of you guys, but I just had a call yesterday from, I don't know if it was David Weekly, but from a client, a realtor whose client bought last June,
Mhm.
was a second home, bought it as a second home. I've never heard of this in my life. They were calling me to ask if I could help refinance. They called the loan due. because
Wow.
He rented it out almost immediately.
Wow.
Things changed, so you guys, if they say it's a second home, you cannot suddenly list it and rent it for the year. Had they done like short-term rentals or something
Mhm.
like that, you could still utilize it probably. But anyway, so this guy's panicking because they've
Wow.
called the loan due. And the lenders typically are gonna sell the loan, you know what I mean? So they
Yeah.
get audited. So my point is, make sure that they
People know.
actually plan on using it as their second home or primary, because I have never heard of, in 35 years of calling a loan due, especially in this environment, and they did.
Well, and keep in mind, you couldn't have done it as an investment because that's against the
Yes,
HOA.
he
So,
did it as a second home, but I'm saying then he decided to rent it out.
right, but I'm saying if his whole plan was to rent it
Right.
out, he couldn't have bought it that way.
Yes.
So the owner that was buying it had to be aware that he was taking a huge risk by doing that. That's the point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
huge.
that was just something crazy, so make sure
Wow,
they
they called it
understand
too.
they need to stay there.
And then the other thing that you may or may not have heard of that I tell them in the contract, never
Yeah, you
lawyers,
will.
right?
Yeah.
We don't interpret anything for them.
Carrie loves you already.
I do. Thank you. We don't play them on TV either. Yep.
But there is a percentage that goes back to the HOA every time the
Yep.
home is sold. It's
Yep.
0.75%.
Sure
So
is.
nobody pointed that out to me the first time I bought in there. I got to the closing table and there's this check that's going back to the HOA. I'm like, oh, and they're like, yeah, contract somewhere. And I'm like,
Feel like I
So-
paid it when I bought. I have to pay it
Yes.
again.
Exactly. So
Yep.
during a new home build, the builder actually pays that. But every time that home is sold in perpetuity, the
Mm.
seller pays that 0.75 back to the.
Which
HOA.
is expensive if you calculate the cost. If you're selling for $1 million, imagine what 0.75 can equate to.
Right. And so that is in all.
It's like a
Tavistock
capital
properties.
contribution fee that the seller pays, and when it's a resale, guys, the buyer pays it too. So on the closing fee, when you look at the settlement statement, the buyer pays it and the seller pays it. It's quite a lot.
It's pretty interesting, and
Is that for all builders?
Yep,
it is, because it actually has to do with the.
HOA.
developer and the
Is this Laureate Park or just? in
Laureate
general?
Park.
It's Laureate Park, Isleworth, the country club, it's all of Tavistock's property.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they get you.
It was
Coming
smart.
and going. And if you sell within the first year, there's an additional fee.
And that, yeah, those are all things you want to tell your buyer, right?
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
If they're investors, that's a whole different side.
Yeah.
Typically what
You
we're
come
doing
to be
is selling
about the
people a
fees.
home where they're going to live or they're going to come visit.
So I didn't know that the builder will pay the capital contribution. That's correct.
Yeah, so that
the
0.75% for us, it's always the seller that first year, so that it becomes the seller every year after that. which
But
is-
does the buyer have to pay it also? Doesn't the buyer have a capital contribution that they pay?
You know what? I'm not smart enough to tell you the answer to that. Yeah.
Mm.
I can get a closing cost. sheet
Because
out and tell you
usually
about
every
that.
time I've seen it for Laureate Park,
Mhm.
the buyer also pays an additional capital
Yeah,
contribution.
Yeah, but I'm not
It's like
sure
1,000
how they
or
word it.
15,000.
Yeah, they probably call it
They
something
probably
else,
call it something
an
different.
initial
Yeah,
contribution.
right.
And you pay a capital
Correct.
contribution.
Correct.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah.
We're cutting on both
You
sides.
can just mix those words
But
a
it's
little bit.
only
Mhm.
when it changes hands, right?
Yeah. No,
Correct.
every time.
Every time it changes
Every
hands.
time it
So
changes
you sell
hands.
it to him and he sells it to her every single time that point.
Let's just say the developer, the HOA, which is the developer, they get it from the buyer and the seller at every sale.
Great.
Oh, yeah, special. No, I've never seen any other HOA. do it.
He is a smart
Mhm.
guy for sure.
He is a pretty quick cookie.
Love.
Mhm.
Any questions about the neighborhood or about David Weekly or how?
Are you doing where they get to pick it out? Because I know that some builders have gone to where they're like picking out the plan.
Yes, great question. We actually are doing both.
Oh,
So with a quick move in home, we have two professional designers who we will choose what we call an inspiration. Hey, we like the Mediterranean, or we like this particular. They run with that. But if it's from dirt, then yes, they get to go to the design center. They get to choose their colors. They get to choose the elevation.
And they pay 50% of the cost of the options, I assume?
We actually do a little differently. So we ask for 20,000 at contract, and
Uh-huh.
then 25% of whatever they did at the design
That's
center.
pretty good.
So typically their investment with us is somewhere between 30 and 40,000 until close.
That's actually low.
It is low. It may change sometime in the future, but it's worked really well for us. And again, that buy-in from the beginning is super important to us. So as we make it a little bit easier for
Yeah.
them, it
Mhm.
seems to really work.
That's great.
Yeah.
I actually have buyers that are looking into buying from Claremont.
Uh-huh. Sounds like landing. Yeah.
So we've been there back and forth, looking at the oldest home. And now we're going again on Saturday.
Wow. It's a beautiful
Ashley,
property.
Ashley
Ashley's
sent
wonderful.
me information
Yeah.
and going back there on Saturday.
Well, if I can say anything, being in the new home world forever, since I was a child,
Just a few years ago.
just a couple years ago, I've always loved David Weekly. Excellent
you.
builder, great builder, and they always have great staff. I have to say, you guys, the new home consultants over there are always well trained,
Thank you.
and I can't say that for everybody. KV robots. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Well, it's really cool
Hmm.
because we actually got our start in Florida when Celebration was owned by Disney. So Disney for 2 years actually went around the United States and talked to home buyers to find out what their experience was like, how they felt about their home, the construction of their home. And after 2 years, approached David Weekly to be their builder in Celebration. So we're the only builder that started and ended the program with them. And that's how we got our start in Florida. So again, it's really neat when as a private builder that you don't have to follow a lot of the same rules. We don't have to do a bunch of crazy things because we're answering to profit shareholders. Right now, what we're doing is we're doing what's best for the company and for the buyers.
They're not drinking the Kool-Aid like Lennar. Did I say that out loud?
I do that a lot.
I can say all those things because I'm the general side now.
Right. My husband always tells me count to 10.
Yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. You know, when you're in the,
She's a keeper, by the way. Any other questions that I can answer about Laureate Park or about David Weekley?
This is totally off topic. I know you were talking about your charity work and the stuff you give back. How do you guys determine which local things you give money to or that you do service projects for?
It's all done actually by the local
Corporate.
project. Yeah,
Okay.
so like for Laureate Park, I'm the person that searches around to see who we can help as Laureate Park folks. And then as the full community, which would be Central Florida, I'm on the committee where we just submit what we would like to do, and then the committee decides as a whole. And I will tell you, it's really incredible. We're measured by that. It actually has to get reported to our corporate office. And if we're not doing what we have to do, it's not a pretty picture for us because it's that much about it needs to be in our DNA to be able to enhance a community, give back to a community. And so I really appreciate that.
So I'm in a Central Florida Women's League and we're very similar, is we only give to local.
Yeah,
You know, so anyway, I may get with you if you need some extra
absolutely.
ideas.
We love to work together as a team. So volunteering as a team is really important. Ronald McDonald House is a really
Yeah.
easy one. But we do a lot of food drives, education drives. We tried to do something over here with what's the little animal place right back here. We were going to build a new habitat for a couple of their groundhogs that were there.
oh,
So we just want to make sure that people understand that it's about what we all should be doing. We should
Yeah.
all- yeah. And so I really love that about the company. I will tell you, I personally work with homeless and have been doing that for 14 years. So that's one that's kind of near and dear to my heart. So whenever I can bring our group in to do something and feeding them or like building the beds for the families in need, always a really cool opportunity for folks to kind of get an idea of how lucky we really are. Yeah.
well, we thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Appreciate you so much. And let's all thank them. So next time we'll have to come and visit you. Let us know when you got something great for us to see. We'll all come visit you on site.
That would be great. And I will also provide food or beverages if you guys want to have a meeting away from your amazing space, but one of our models so that we can, again, kind of give you a step-by-step, here's what we do. And then that will give you an opportunity to learn how we go.
You know what? Maybe we can have your builder take us through and show us the David Weekly way.
We would love that.
That would be fun.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Thanks so much for coming. We appreciate you.
Guys.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to continue on. And I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump into what Bill should be doing. But now I'm going to do. So remember, it's not me talking. No, it is me talking. I cannot lie, but all right. Wait for me to start. Okay. Oh, Maria, did you want to jump in and say anything about race?
Quickly, rates are a little bit on the way up, teeny tiny bit. We're in the high sixes now.
Oh, boy.
Rates kind of bumped up this week, but everything's still moving along smoothly and closing quick. If you need a quick closing, it's not that busy, so we can certainly take anything you got going on. We can still do loans down to the 580 mark for credit score. So I have noticed there's a lot more people trying to buy a house, and it's kind of on the fringes, right? Like, so we all have a little bit more time to deal with people that maybe we didn't have time for before, or that, you know, we were so busy, and now we have time to try to get them there, get them across the finish line. And I'm getting a lot of people asking me about credit repair and how do we get people to that next level. So you know,
Awesome.
definitely give me a call. Let me see if I can help somebody. Some I can, some I can't. But
Well, thank you as always, and we will continue to call you. All right, guys, so here's an overview, and these slides are from Duana Watkins' presentation. Anybody on that, by the way, that last Thursday? Anybody do that? Okay, a lot of brokers were on that. Essentially, this is in regards, obviously, we all know the new law went into effect on Saturday. You were on it, Emily? No. That was fun. This was not.
I
Thomas Wright was wonderful. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was great. This is Joanna Watkins. She is our legal counsel, head legal counsel for Florida Realtors. Okay, this is in regards to the new law that has come into existence, that has been added to our contracts as of Saturday, July 1st. Okay, now this means that basically this has to do with the conveyance of property to foreign principals. All right. Again, I don't want you talking about this because it's a slippery slope. We have to be very, very mindful of the whole opportunity for fair housing. We cannot ask somebody where you're from. If you say, where are you from? That can imply a fair housing violation. If anybody feels that you are pigeonholing them because of where they're from, they can go against you for fair housing. This is bad. If anybody feels that you don't want to work with them because of where they're from, fair housing violation. So you can't make it sound like you don't want to work with somebody because of where they're from. So this is a very, very slippery slope. Now, the Department of Justice has jumped in on this lawsuit that is already against this law. So we don't know where this is going to go. They're going against it, obviously, for fair housing implications. They're going against it for civil liberty implications. Again, the question is, because these are foreigners, do they even pertain to them? So we don't know where the lawsuit's going to go, right? But the point is, it doesn't matter. This lawsuit is already in effect, and it's already in our contracts. You should see it. Alejandro sent it to me. Is this the right contract? It is. Okay. So we need to understand what it is. We need to be aware of what it is. We need to be able to not talk about it because we are going to be secret shopped. Joanna Watkins was very clear. Fair housing will be calling. They're testers, she called them. I'm calling them secret shoppers, but they're going to be calling you. So you need to know how to respond, or more importantly, how not to respond. And if you don't understand what it is, you're going to be very easy to say the wrong thing. So this is why we're going into this, okay? First and foremost, with this law, it has been stated that FREC is in charge of an affidavit that will be needed to be signed at closing, okay? This affidavit will appear, this contract has every contract, as is Florida residential, the commercial, the vacant land, as well as the CRISP contracts. All of these contracts have on there the disclosure about the new law. Simply a disclosure as to what has this new law says, okay? The actual affidavit that says you as a foreign principal are allowed to buy property, that is on, the onus is on the foreign principal to say that they're allowed to buy property. They must sign that at closing. Now, the law has been stated that FREC is responsible to come up with the affidavit, the language and the rules. But FREC has not done that. Oh, but we have the law already. This is so great. So in the interim, what they've done is they've made it the responsibility of title companies to come up with an affidavit. Is someone on? Is that a question? Okay. If you can mute, that would be great, guys. So this is what's happened. Every title company is going to have their own affidavit, okay, which will vary, right? Because it's a title company with a title company. Now, title companies are not governed by DBPR. Title companies are not realtors. So title companies do not have to worry about code of ethics. So they have different rules and guidelines. Thank God for them, right? That's a good thing. We're going to let them cover that affidavit. If you have a buyer, you cannot show them an affidavit. If you work with Phil Logus, for example, and Phil has his own affidavit, you cannot show that to your buyer because more than likely when they go into contract, the seller is going to have them work with somebody else. Maybe it's the closing agent, maybe it's whoever, right? They're going to have their own affidavit, which will not match Phil's. And so when they get to closing, they're going to say, what the heck is this? It's different, which it will be because they came up with their own affidavit. Total confusion. So what you just created was a bigger mess than we already have, which is why don't ever give a buyer an affidavit. Okay. Even if you ask your title company, can I see your affidavit? You are going down a slippery slope. I'm going to tell you that right there. Why do you need to see the affidavit? I know you guys want to know everything. You guys feel like you got to protect your buyers. You guys are going to be like, I need to show them. Don't do it. This is something that you cannot be in control of. Okay, I'm telling you all this because I know all of you want to be so protective of your little buyers. You cannot be in this. The more you try to cover this and protect your buyers, the more trouble you're getting yourself into. Okay, so these are the revisions that has to do with what this is about. Why did they do this? Now, we were not required, so you know, to make a change to the contract with this law. It was not a requirement. But what happened was, because this is such a big law, they felt it was important enough to put the disclosure out there so that they understood it. Because if you are actually going to purchase land in one of these 3 areas, which we're going to cover really quickly, I'm not going to go into depth because none of you should. I even hesitate going into it at all, but you guys need to understand it. But the point is, if there's the first 2 areas that we're going to cover, anybody who is helping with the purchase of this, purchase or sale of this to the person, is committing a misdemeanor. That includes the realtor. In the 3rd group, it's a felony. So you unwittingly could be assisting in this and committing either a misdemeanor or a felony. Okay, I'm just letting you know this.
What are we supposed to do when we can't ask?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So this is why I'm going over this information, and this is why I'm going to give you how you get yourself out of trouble. Okay. This is why the affidavit is signed by the closing company, whoever it is, and the buyer has to sign it. Because if the buyer signs and says they're allowed to do this and they're not, they're the ones committing the felony or the misdemeanor, not you.
How do they know?
They have to know because the questions are very clean and simple. Either it's a yes or a no. Where are you
So they're
born?
giving
Where are you?
They're given questions by the title.
On the affidavit. It's very clear.
But that doesn't really happen until we close.
Correct.
So you can go the whole entire transaction.
Not really, because the disclosure, which we're going to read, gives them an idea that they shouldn't be purchasing property if in fact they're one of these 7 categories. And if they have a question about it, they should seek legal advice.
Is there any other state that does?
There's 3 other states already that have been doing this, but most of them have been doing it about vacant land. So it didn't affect code of ethics. But because we're in a residential area, this affects code of ethics. So this gets bigger and uglier. Okay, moving on.
So we cannot even prep them about.
No, you of all people, Karina, no.
No.
Karina, you know. No talking about it at all. You want to help them with everything. You're not allowed. Okay, good, thank you. Okay, here it is. This is what it says. When it says attention sellers and buyers, they wanted it to look like attention Walmart shoppers. They wanted it to be big. They wanted it to be bold. They want that to stand out. This is right above where they both sign their names. They are trying to say, pay attention, please read this. That's the whole point of that sentence. Conveyances to foreign buyers. If you're not foreign, do you have to read that? No, it doesn't pertain to you. Probably. And I say probably because if you are not a foreign buyer, right? You're a US citizen, but you live in a foreign country, it could pertain to you. So there are some caveats, okay? But then it says where the law comes from, part 3 of chapter 692, blah, 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 right? Florida statutes, in part limits and regulates the sale, purchase, and ownership of certain Florida properties by certain buyers who are associated with a foreign country of concern. And then it names the foreign countries of concern, okay? Which are People's Republic of China. By the way, that is the 3rd bucket, and that is the worst bucket. The People's Republic of China, that is the felony. Just to put that out there, okay? The Russian Federation, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the Republic of Cuba, the Venezuelan regime of Nicolas Maduro, the Syrian Arab Republic. It is a crime, notice this is bold, to buy or knowingly sell property in violation of the act.
Sell,
Sell or buy. So the seller is liable and the person purchasing
but
it.
if they're a seller, that's not gonna be.
It is.
So it's self.
Now, if you're the person
No,
who
they're-
is
if they
People's
already
Republic
own
of
it.
South, that's different. They actually have to divest the property. They're not in violation. They're doing what they have to do. But if you are the seller and you are selling to someone from the People's Republic of China in violation of this act, you are now committing a felony. The person purchasing is committing the felony. If the realtor's aware of what's going on, they're committing a felony. You could have a lot of people committing felonies here. It's going to be a whole like after TV show.
But-
It's going to be
How does
ugly.
the seller know before if this is supposed to sell? So how would the seller know they're selling to someone from the Republic of China? Like they can't ask them. They can ask them, but we can't.
The
tell them.
sellers can ask anybody they want. And
We
the-
can't tell them to ask them. We can't ask.
correct.
So they just have to assume.
The reality is here that most of this is going to be handled at closing, but this is really more for nefarious things happening. Right? And this is really more for large parcels being sold and being sold for certain purposes. And in that instance, the seller probably would know. You follow me? That's really probably more what that's about. Okay. And are we getting involved in that? No, we're not getting involved in it. Right. But usually we would be like, don't ask, don't tell. Do we care where the money comes from? No, we just want to sell the property and we just want to get out. In this instance, we have to be very careful. But do we want to know? No, we pass it off to the title company. We make them check it out. That's the whole point of having a fill. If we think there's a chance that this could be in violation, we tell our title company, if you work with the fill or whoever you work with, you say, please contact the buyers or sellers and check all that out. We can't do it. That's why you got to have a good title company that you work with who will do that for you.
We
Bill,
can
Ness,
suggest to
whoever.
them to do it.
Yes.
I can't talk to you, but I'm telling you.
Yes. You call your title company and say, I think we have a problem here. Can you please contact these people? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. I'm telling you now more than ever, it's really important to work with a good title company.
Does it matter if, like, let's say they're a resident of the state, but they're from like China?
It could. That's why we want to make sure, because what kind of green card do they have? Do they have a green card? Is it a tourism card? Or there's a lot of rules with this stuff. That's why we don't want to make those determinations. We want to make them do it. We don't want to be liable.
2 questions. So what are the other states that are doing this and have they?
I
submitted
don't
lawsuits?
know, and I can't answer that.
So I'm like,
I think it's just us. isn't it?
No, there's 3 other states that are doing it.
why did they brought this? After this? Why
There's
did
a
they-
lot of reasons. There's a lot of states that a lot of foreigners are purchasing up land, and or
Illegal stuff.
things are happening, and exactly. Mhm. Okay. At the time of the purchase, buyer must provide, so at the time of purchase, they're talking about closing, okay? Buyer must provide a signed affidavit which complies with the requirements of the act. We don't know, we don't care. Do we have anything to do with that affidavit? No, it should be written by Freck, but in the interim, who's gonna write it? The title company. Every title company's gonna have a different one, so we don't get that ahead, right? Seller and buyer are advised to seek legal counsel regarding their respective obligations and liabilities under the act. Who's taken out of it? We are. So please take yourself out of this. Do not get involved. If someone says to you, I think this could apply to me, don't sit there and try to help them figure it out. Okay, I know each and every one of you would try to do that. Which is why we're having this conversation right now. I know I'd get that call. Hey, Carrie, they're really from, I'm gonna be like, holy Lord. If one of you calls me with that question, I'm gonna be like, Jesus, Lord above, did you not have this conversation with me?
This applies
Fine,
to
it's
this.
the
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Kate. Thank you
Well,
for the
I'm saying that
13 years of experience. This
This
is-
is. Because in Chicago, we were always like, oh, car train, oh, car train. Oh, you're so
I
cute."
love how Chicago is. That is exactly what we are going to respond with. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, whoever you are talking to that has asked you this nasty question that you are going to avoid. This is your response. I would be more than happy to help you with any of your real estate needs. However, if you feel that this may apply to you in any way, shape, or form, please seek legal advice. Once you have come to whatever determination it is, come back to me. Period. You cannot speak to them until they've talked to an attorney and find out it does not apply to you. And if they find out it applies to you, don't come back to me. Period. I mean, don't say that, right? But that's what you're saying.
What if they come back to you and say that the attorney, the legal advice thinks it may apply, get your realtor's opinion? No opinion.
Then you say, I'm sorry, I have no
Go back to a
opinion.
different attorney.
Yeah, exactly. It is really, as it says in here, you have to seek legal advice. I'm not an attorney.
No
Did
problem.
your attorney get their license out of a Cracker Jack box? No, don't say that. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not an attorney and I don't play one on TV. Yeah, yeah, no. You pass that off. I would be more than happy to assist you with all of your real estate needs, but if you feel this may apply, please seek legal advice first. That is your statement, period. Period. I'm happy to help you with all your real estate needs. They can't make it sound like you don't want to work with them. But if you feel this applies, seek legal counsel first.
I have another
Everybody
question.
got that? Everybody got that?
If they come back and say that the property in question does apply, they got the advice from their attorney, you can still continue to work with them, but now that you're privy to that knowledge, are they able to just?
If
work
the
with them?
property applies, it's against the violation. You
No,
can't
no,
sell
I'm
it.
saying, can they look elsewhere? Wasn't it solely certain properties that apply? Wasn't it
Then you got to
regular?
get another property.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
continue to work with them in another property.
But this is the okay,
Is
thank
it
you.
based
We're
on
gonna,
property?
oh, hold on. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
This is
okay.
complicated.
Okay, here, this is a lot. Okay, so foreign countries of concern, we already went over that. Which buyers, we already talked about that. Huh? I wish I could, because I don't see that and I don't know where it is. How do I switch that thing again? Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, I don't even know. Oh,
You're right
oh,
there. Just,
drag it.
I can't see it on my screen,
no, well, I can see it. We can guide
Yeah.
you.
but it's not here.
Oh,
Is there a mouse that
yeah,
goes
there
on
is a
my
mouse.
screen?
Just move it. Move it.
Hold on.
Up down.
No, no,
There
no,
we
that didn't work. Nice try, guys. Mhm. Switch displays. Nope, that didn't work. Now we got the problem again, you guys. Thanks, guys.
Sorry.
Now
You see the minimize under.
no, you understand that I can't see it on my screen. I see what you're saying, but the problem is,
Right there.
okay, if I do this here, and now I hit slideshow, it's gonna be totally different again. Presenter mode, let's see. I don't know. No, that's wrong. Nope. Here we go again. Mhm.
That's better.
Not for me.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah.
Nightmares about it. I don't know.
And I don't know how to, let's see, switch. No.
Yeah,
I don't know how to switch the presenter thing.
Well, he's not- Yeah, he's Turkish.
Okay, I don't know. Now it's all screwed up, so I can't tell you. So whatever. Now you see all that weird stuff. Anyway.
You go back to like slideshow mode and just.
How do I go that?
You went to like exit and then like where it said, presenter mode.
That's what I did.
Yeah, right there. You can't see it.
I can just leave it like this, you mean?
Yeah.
This is not presenter mode, but anyway. All right, I'll leave it like this. If you guys don't care, that's how it is. All right, so anyway. There are certain reasons why foreign principals can purchase if they're for diplomatic purposes and things of this nature. You don't need to know about any of that stuff. All right, foreign principals, you don't need to understand if some reasons that they can. All right, bucket one basically is agricultural land, okay? It is agricultural land. Bucket two is properties that are within 10 miles of military installations or critical infrastructure. That is what you are asking, or you are asking. Here's the problem. There's no map. We have no map or any kind of thing that tells us properties that are within 10 miles of any of these things. Because what is critical infrastructure? I'm going to tell you, it's everything. Critical infrastructure could be anything that has to do with telecommunications, water plants, water treatment plants, cable. It could be anything. So we don't have a map that tells us where every cable thing is, every tower, so 10 miles from that, I mean, that's any property, right? So how are you going to locate another property that's within 10 miles? And here's the problem. Let's say you said, oh, this property won't work because it's within 10 miles, and it wasn't. Now they could say you didn't want them to buy it, and now that's a fair housing violation.
Because it was 9.9.
Right, or whatever, but how do you know? You're not an expert in that. Nobody knows, Linda. This is the problem. We started this thing without any information. Breck doesn't do the affidavit. We have no maps telling us where any of these things are located, but yet let's go ahead and start this thing and put it on contract. Great idea, right? This is why I'm saying, guys, are you paying attention? If somebody asks you, can I buy a piece of land? Am I within 10 miles from this? Are you going to go out there and Google it?
No.
Thank you. You're not, right? If they ask you anything about where the property is located, is it okay? What are you going to do? You're going to what? What are you going to do?
I'm gonna ask the question again.
This is what I'm exactly worried about. Consult an attorney. No, but you didn't say that. You just got sent to fair housing right there.
Well, I'm not gonna tell them that. I'm gonna do my own search.
No, you're not. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Fair housing job.
Fair housing right there. You cannot search for these properties. There is no map that exists. You are not certified in any way, shape, or form to know 10 miles from what? 10 miles from critical infrastructure? What is critical infrastructure? Are you certified to tell me what critical infrastructure is? No, because nobody. You don't. That's my point. You don't do it. You cannot be liable for any of this, which is why if they are a foreign principal, you really don't want to work with them. But you can't say that either, right? Because that's a fair housing violation. So what do?
Not a realtor.
No. You don't pick up the phone. You tell them to seek legal advice. You have to have someone who is certified in this assist them.
Not a lawyer.
Yes. Okay. You with me?
So what if they say I don't know any attorney? Can you respond to attorney?
Send them the bill. Send them Ness. Send them to anybody. But you can't answer this question. I can't answer this question, guys. I've been a broker for 20 years. I wouldn't touch this question with a 10-foot pole. Okay, this is going to get you in fair housing jail right here, right there. I can't tell you what's 10 miles within, critical infrastructure. Nobody can. Joanna Watkins can. She's the head attorney for Florida Realtors. We don't know what is within 10 miles of critical infrastructure.
We're selling sort of blind, if you will. We need to just do our jobs.
Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes. We need to do our jobs in our lane when we know it actually applies. Send it to the attorney. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, excellent. Okay. See, and then there is exemptions within this too. You see, that's the problem. And they say, well, I have this exemption for this, and I have an actual, because here's the exemption. If the property is not within 5 miles of this, and they have a US visa, which is not a tourist visa, and they're authorized to be here legally in Florida, and they have asylum, and they are buying it in their own personal name, and they have an official documentation. They have to have all 5 of these things, and then they're able to buy. Do you want to be in charge of that? Heck to the no. That's what the attorney does. And that's what the affidavit is going to say. Do you meet all these requirements? And maybe they do. That's when the attorney comes back to you and says, yes, they can purchase. And you say, great, let's go buy a piece of land. Or let's go buy a house in your name. the attorney will say they have to buy it in their name. It has to match their documentation. They cannot buy it in a company's name. They cannot buy it in an LLC. It must be in their personal name, okay? Then you go buy them a house. Got it? Personal only. But that's the only time, okay? But the attorney came back to you. And this is the critical infrastructure. We already talked about that. What is critical infrastructure? Nobody knows. And the third bucket. So first bucket is what? Land. Second bucket is military infrastructure and critical infrastructure. Nobody knows. And then the third bucket is anybody from the People's Republic of China. They can't buy anything. Yeah. But then they say, oh, but they can if they're meeting these certain requirements. Do you want to touch this with the 10-foot pole? No. So you send it over to the attorney.
Yeah.
The attorney calls you back and says, they can buy, this is the parameters. One property, only one, in their personal name. It has to be only this large, up to 2 acres. And it has to match, hey, their personal documents. Everybody with me? Okay. They will tell you exactly what it can be. That's what you do. Then you do what, Elizabeth?
Your job.
You do your job. Thank you. That's all we do. Do you ask them about where they're from? Never. Do you talk about them being a foreign principal? No. Do you say anything about the fact that they probably shouldn't even be buying here? Heck no. Do you say, boy, you're lucky you're allowed to buy here? Don't. Okay. Just do your job. Like Elizabeth said.
So if they're gonna have those people trying to, are we gonna?
Secret
get
shop
calls-
you?
Are we gonna
Oh, yeah,
get
get
calls or
called.
emails? And they're
How
gonna
about
ask
an
us
email?
directly about that?
Oh, yeah.
So how do we respond directly?
I would love to help you with all your buying and selling needs. If you think this applies to you, please seek legal advice.
Okay.
That's exactly your set answer. Can you help me find a piece of land that's not within 10 miles of critical infrastructure? Oh, you don't want to help me? Fair housing violation. No.
No.
Housing violation.
Kidding.
You got to practice, Karina.
No, you-
Karina's gonna get called. Just don't ever answer your phone. The
Harry, Harry,
problem is they're gonna pretend they're a buyer. And this is the problem, guys. We are gonna get secret shop. So she has already said it. She has said we will be secret shop. They have got tons of testers ready to secret shop us, which is ridiculous because we don't have rec affidavit. We don't have anything set up, oh, but we do have testers.
So shady.
So if we do fall for their trap, we get in trouble.
Cindy, that's big time in trouble.
So what would we say? Yes, absolutely, I can help you. Let me get you in touch with an attorney so we can.
I would love to help you with all your fair housing needs. If you feel,
Not fair housing needs.
no fair housing needs, Jesus Christ. I would love to help you. I would love to help you with all your buying and selling needs. If you feel that this will affect you in any way, shape, or form, please seek legal advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what if they don't?
Harry, what if they don't?
They don't mention it, but.
If they don't mention it, just talk to them as if they're just buying. Just go on as if you're doing your job.
But they tell you, I'm from
Okay.
China and I want to buy a house. Can you help me?
Say, I would love to purchase, I would love to help you with all your buying and selling needs. First step is to speak to our title company and get all your information and make sure you get everything
That's
set up.
what I'm Thinking to just put them in touch with the people who can guide them before they go to court.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful,
Well,
guys.
such a title company don't say we have. a
No
new
one
law
over here,
or-
no one-
No, God, don't talk about the new law. Have you heard about the new law against foreign buyers? I think it could pertain to you. Just because they're from China, they could be American, right? We don't know.
But even through all the steps, they're still gonna find out it's on the contract.
It's gonna be on the
So
contract.
it's gonna come up at some.
Yeah, so even if you just help them with everything on the back page before they sign, it says the disclosure.
That's why I messaged you that.
That's
Yeah.
why we have all the resources, so we can
Yes.
guide them.
Remember, real estate professionals, it says nothing to protect us, this law. As a matter of fact, they were very careful to say a person who knowingly sells.
Do we have any disclosure on the buyer's agreement?
No, we are not covered. So if you knowingly sell to someone from China, you could get, that's a felony. So that's why we have to get the attorneys. That's why we have to work with great title companies. If you didn't work with an attorney before, make sure your title company has one, or they have a process ready to help you with this, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be an attorney, but has to be someone who can help you with this. If your title company just is really good with the celebration, but can't help you with this and they're too busy, get somebody else. This is now when we need them.
Yeah.
Again,
So
this
if
is,
it doesn't come up in the conversation, show them the land work, like we're doing the whole process of offering, like putting an offer in. It will come up in the offer, like in the contract.
well, actually, you say, I'm gonna need your copy of your license, you're gonna ask for all their identification. When you get that identification, you'll see where it's from. If it's a passport from China, that's when you send it over to the title company. And now you get the title company to assist you. Right? Yeah,
There's a few steps that.
yeah, we can make sure we get those steps to happen a little sooner than later. Yeah, we can't jump to it, because if we jump to it, we could be in violation of fair housing. We just do our job as we normally would. We're gonna get to the licenses and all that anyway. Let's just make sure we get there a little quicker if we think we need to. But we can't jump to it, because what if just because they're Chinese doesn't mean that they're not Chinese American? It doesn't mean that they've already gone through citizenship here, or that they have a green card, right? Because again, remember, one of the criteria means that they have a visa and they're able to work here. And they're already allowed to do that. And if you unknowingly said, oh, well, you probably can't buy here, now you just violated fair housing. Bad. Yeah.
Just really, so the buyer, let's say the buyer does, you see the passport, and you're like, okay, let me send it to the title company.
Let the title company ask the question.
Would you be sending it to, like, if you're representing the buyer, you would send it to the seller's chosen?
No. Have
then-
one that you work with.
Okay, but then if you do that, then doesn't on the contract, if you choose the title company, then the buyer has to pay?
Doesn't mean that you have to just have a title company that you work with. You work with
Just
sellers
review it.
all the time to review it.
Two guys.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're working with the buyer, the seller's company is going to pick the title company. But if you have somebody that you typically work with when you have listings, make sure that you can go to them for these needs. You know what I mean? Just because it's a buyer doesn't mean that they're not going to help you. Like, Phil will help anybody no matter what. It's like that you just need to have a good partner that you can go to, whoever that is. It doesn't matter who it is. You just need a good partner. That's why I was hoping Phil would go over this, but he's not here. So this is basically all the information about this is here. Some challenges. Obviously, we know there's a lot of challenges. We will not know the location of the military installations because it's not readily apparent. Buyers are not able to provide at the time of the purchase an affidavit establishing the that verifies the buyers in compliance because they're not created. Foreign principals registration processes are not in place yet, so we can't do anything about that. Terms of the law are unclear and undefined. So what is meant to be individuals domiciled in a foreign country of concern? We don't have that even defined yet. So we're not exactly sure how that actually will comply at the time of purchase. So if you actually live if you're domiciled in one of these foreign countries, we're not exactly sure how that will play out at the time of purchase. Lovely. Violations of laws are crimes, so we know that. And if they try to purchase it, they could forfeit their property. That's great, just so you know. And the most important thing is that this new law covers legally driven topics like visas, diplomatic status, fair housing, minimus ownership, foreign investments, and expert knowledge is needed that we don't have. So you have to be the source of the information at the source of the source, right? Meaning just pass them on. Do not try to own it.
You misunderstood something earlier, but does it apply also if they are selling?
If you knowingly sell to somebody who is,
No, I mean, like, say they already.
if they're the owner, no.
And it's a listing.
No, it wouldn't
Okay.
apply to them. Because actually, if they are somebody who owns in one of these violations, like if they own within 10 miles of a military, it's like they have to sell. They have to register it. That's part of the law. They have to register it by December 31st, with the Department of Economic Opportunity. And then they have to, and if every day they don't register, it's $1,000 fine. And then they have to divest it within 3 years.
Can you imagine us being lost and now homeowners that are like, have no clue? They get a bill for like $30,000 at the end of the year. Oh my God.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of
There's gonna
crazy.
be like a lot of lawsuits I feel about this.
I have no idea. I don't know. That's gonna be happening from probably the county that already knows who owns what, right? Because they had to have it filed, with the record of the deed. It's already, the ownership deed is already filed. So listen, we're not involved with that. Please, we got enough to figure out on our own. Let's not try to take everybody else's burden on, all right? So these are the different buckets. We don't need to get all involved in that. We don't need to figure out who may or may not be a foreign principal, what properties may or may not be covered in the property law, what may or may not authorize them to purchase if they're a foreign buyer or not. These are things we do not need to figure out, right? We want to pass all of that off. We are not attorneys. We do not play them. So let's not try to get too involved, right? So although we, these things are important for you to understand, it's out there. You got to understand you shouldn't be talking about it. Okay. If you have any questions too, you can always call the legal hotline because they can answer some of these things for you as well. If you ever have a question about that, this is the actual memorandum itself, SB 264, Interests of Foreign Countries. This is the Senate bill that went into effect. And this is the actual thing in the contract. It's not read though, as we know. And that's where it is, right above where the buyer and seller sign. We already went over the language, but that is what it says. Attention, seller and buyer. Okay. Any questions about any of that? I know we've gone over. I don't want to go through anything else because we're already over. So I won't go through all the rest of the stuff, but basically we'll go quickly over birthdays. I'm going to say happy birthday to Cindy Zastrzelecki, John Lenow, Lori Cook, Luciana, and Marima. Happy birthday! Southeast Orlando and Ocala, the Lake Nona June listings, we did 14.9 million. And then we're going to say congratulations to Tasha, Maddie, Roxanne, Shane, Fran and Alex, Susan, Seda, Luciana, Karina, Andrea, Ohana, and Anna. Woo! Okay, on our new sales, we did 13.7 million. Congratulations to Tasha, Roxanne, Elle, Luli, Karen, Stacy, Maddie, Susan, Fran, Suzanne, Peyton, Luciana, Corina, Ohana, Liani, Shane, Marima, and Barbara Ashley Jones. Woo! All right. And closed sales, 10.6 million. Congratulations, Tasha, Roxanne, Karen, Luli, Maddie, Tana, Shane, Ohana, Fran, Susan, and Luciana. And then Dr. Phillips and Claremont, June listings, 12.6 million. Congratulations to Dawn, Daniel, Lynn Lou, Wendy, Alejandro, Jules, Sandy, Teresa, and Linda. Ooh. And then sales and Dr. Phillips and Claremont, 18.3 million. Congratulations to Dawn Giacchetti, Jessica, Mary Jo, Jules, Alejandro, Carol, Carrie, Jessica, Janet, Janice, Teresa, Daniel, Lynn Lou, Denise Pellegrino, Chad, good job, Wendy, Tammy, Emily, woohoo, April and Kelly, Bree, and Carla. Woo! And closings. We did 29.6 million. Congratulations to Dawn, Lynn, Janet and Janice, Jules, Teresa, Emily, Tammy, Oksana, Daniel, Carol, Wendy, Jessica, Denise, Mary Jo, Daniel, Carrie, Luce, Elizabeth, Nick, Janet and Mark, Linda, Pippin, Alistair, Dawn, Bobby, and Oksana. Woo! Great job, guys. Awesome. I'm sorry when I'm over. I wanted to get some more stuff. Just wanted to remind you all, we have Evolve, Elevate, and Exceed. That is our save the date, and it's in September, Tuesday, September 19th at the Alfond Inn. That's going to be the morning of. It's going to be like from, I think, 8:30 to 12. So make sure you register for that. That's going to be awesome. September 19th, you should have gotten that in the invite. And also anybody who still has an opportunity to register for Naples Ninja Selling, that is coming up August 22nd to 25th. So if you have an opportunity to still register for the Ninja Selling that we are doing, it is happening at the Hyatt House in Naples on 5th Avenue. All right, so I'm gonna stop my share. Does anybody have any questions before we end up? I mean, I know there's a ton of questions about what we went over, but the point is, don't ask them. It's like a don't ask, don't tell. Most importantly, when they secret shop you, again, we are happy to help you with all your buying and selling needs. If you think this applies to you, please seek legal counsel first. Everybody clear on that? And then what, Elizabeth?
Do your job.
Then just do your job. That's right. Everybody good on that? All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Kate.